The girl who had been the Olympic ambassador, who then engages in shocking acts of looting. Pigs shouldn't have killed that guy last night in it. Then they wouldn't get blown up. Girl's going to steal, wheeze. But it's stealing Dewey. The shopkeeper ain't fucked their mugs.
No, sorry, excuse me. Utterly outrageous, obviously, what you're saying.
Politicians are regarded as people who have learnt to talk but not to act. And you demand action, and rightly demand it.
We now have a leader of the opposition who says quite openly he would never press the nuclear button. Does that worry you?
Well, it would worry me if that thought was translated into power, as it were.
There are so many issues which have been visited on this country by an elite of self-selecting, closed-minded people, well represented here this evening, and actually largely incompetent as well, which have done enormous damage to our way of life. Who will say anything on this panel about the catastrophe of mass immigration, which has changed this country irrevocably into somewhere completely different from what it was? They won't talk about it.
Just before I answer the question, we've just got to get away from this nonsense that is peddled by Peter and people like him, that immigration is some kind of curse in this country. It is a blessing. It is very...
Like anybody who cares about his country, I'm distressed by it. I see no hope from these interchangeable people. She was a Liberal Democrat. For all I know, she still is.
Let's hear from
I think our country's best days are ahead of us, not behind us.
And the result is that Britain today is tossed to and fro between America and Russia. We've lost the empire, we've lost our position, and we had 25 million Europeans killed. And I'm prouder than anything in my life of having done my utmost to stop that suicidal war which has destroyed Great Britain.
These strikes are wrong at a time when negotiations are still going on, but parents and the public have been let down by both sides because the government has acted in a reckless and provocative manner. After today's disruption, I urge both sides to put aside the rhetoric, get round the negotiating table. At a time when negotiations are still going on, I do believe these strikes are wrong. What I say is that the strikes are wrong when negotiations are still going on, but the government has acted in a reckless and provocative manner in the way it's gone about these issues.
If I'm honest with you, I joined the Liberals when I was 16. I joined Shelter first. I watched Cathy come home and it made me cry. But it's about time somebody said that immigration in this country is much more of a blessing than it ever has been a curse. That there is something like...
and in particular who would come to me and say, you know, my son has just got a job in Gloucester, it's great, but after 5 weeks, suddenly the employers decided to get rid of all the British workers and bring in some contractees from Poland and undercut their wages.
Under Labour, immigration soared. Official figures show that net migration between 1997 and 2010 was 2.5 million. That's the official figure. Unofficial could be bigger. If you got it wrong on those two things, does that mean, if you add up all these mistakes, that there are too many foreigners in Britain?
It stands to logic, doesn't it, that if I'm saying that we should have introduced proper curbs when the new countries joined the European Union, and that we should have introduced a points-based system, that I am, of course, saying, and Ed himself did this morning, that too many people came in when we were in power.
You haven't admitted the other thing, which your former speechwriter, or rather New Labour's former speechwriter, Andrew Nether, admitted in the Evening Standard some years ago, which is that this was a deliberate policy to transform the country. And you meant it to be so.
Well, you've done it now.
There's no point saying, oh, we're sorry now we did that. You're not sorry at all. What you're sorry about is it's cost you popularity.
I don't know where you start.
You accepted, when Andrew asked you whether there were too many people in the country, you accepted that there were.
I'm not saying that there are too many people in the country.
Oh, you're
now.
not saying that.
No, what I said was...
Foreign people in the country.
I was asked a specific question, which was, during the period that we're talking about, did we get it wrong, and did too many people come into this country?
Yes.
And I'm saying is, look, we have already said that, first of all, we should have had proper restraints on the number of people coming in from the
you're
new
backing away
accession
from that now,
countries.
because you clearly
I'm still saying that, but I'm not
accepted
saying that there
the
are
point.
too
I
many
think
people
you're
in this
backing away
country
from it.
and that we should have a cull.
Because you know what's coming next, don't you? If there are too many foreign people in this country, what are you going to do about it?
Well, I think there are things that we could... I'm not saying that there are too many foreign people in this country.
Well, you did earlier.
No, I
Yes, you
didn't.
did.
I said...
I think in the answer
You said
to...
the logic is.
No, I said that too many people, there were too many migrants came in a short period of time into this country, and we should have done
and they're
a better
still here,
job at
obviously.
Absolutely, absolutely not at all, really.
The Pakistani community.
I think as a community we've got to reflect on why is it that there are people amongst us who think that white girls are worthless, who think they can use and abuse them in this abhorrent sort of way, and we've got to confront it. And I have to say to you, Nikki...
Just white girls?
I actually think that it is a race issue, and as a community we've got to reflect on why is it that white girls are wandering the streets at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
This is absolutely victim blaming.
It is hard to describe the appalling nature of the abuse the child victims suffered. They were raped by multiple perpetrators. They were trafficked to other towns and cities in the north of England. They were abducted, beaten and intimidated. There were examples of children being doused with petrol and threatened with being set alight. They were threatened with guns, made to witness brutally violent rapes, and threatened they would be the next if they told anyone. Girls as young as 11 were raped by large numbers of male perpetrators. The detail of this information and the 15 pen pictures of exploited children, which we include in Chapter 5 of the report, were all taken from official records,
They weren't believed. They just thought the problem was
minutes.
exaggerated. People didn't want to deal with what was going on largely in the Pakistani community. Social workers wouldn't take these girls onto their casework. And you, surely more than anyone else, was the point person who should have dealt with that and failed to do so.
It takes a long time to change the culture of an organisation, so I can say that.
Okay. Ms Thacker, just are you still monitoring the political leanings of foster parents in Rotherham?
And I hereby declare that the said Liz McInnes is duly elected Member of Parliament for the said constituent.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you very much. It would have been that result, whatever it said.
Tonight, people gave their backing to Ed Miliband's plans.
That's radical. That is not conservative.
And what's so brilliant about that? Because there are things I think that, that we see around us that we do not.
Okay, yeah, a lady here.
But you're blaming the victim there. You are the person that is installing rape culture into this country.
Judas was paid. Judas was paid. I am making a sacrifice.
Last year, it looked like race riots were breaking out up and down the country once again.
Just a minute, let him answer.
You want to bring the meeting, as your friends often tried before, to a close and stop the speaker, either of the speakers, having their say. And that is why we organized to put people like you out when you denied free speech in Britain. And it was a right and proper thing to do, and they were magnificent young men, and I'm proud to have led and organized them to put people like you out of meetings. And since, yes, there you are, you will not allow other people to speak. And you are doing here what you've always done, denying free speech to other people, and that is precisely why I put the people like you out of our meetings. And I do it again.